Here are 5 ideas of how you can train and not fall too far behind in your jiu-jitsu when you're quarantined, when you can't train the way that you normally train. Number 1, I'm going to start with possibly the least useful suggestion, and that is to do solo drilling and or have some kind of grappling dummy. Strikers have an advantage here. Strikers can kickbox, they can hit the heavy bag, they can work the top and bottom bag. They can train a fair amount on their own. Grapplers are in a quandary. Grapplers need bodies. Yes, there are grappling dummies, but most of the time, most people don't really end up using grappling dummies. I personally have owned or built about 5 different grappling dummies, and I've had the very best of intentions. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about 30 years. I've really had very good intentions and then just never ended up using it, never ended up being consistent with it. Similarly, yes, you can do solo movements on the ground. It's good to keep your head in the game. And if you Google solo BJJ drills or go to my YouTube channel, you'll see lots of solo BJJ drills. But they're something you apply in moderation. It's something you apply just a little bit of. You use just a few movements here to get the person in the mindset of how do they move their hips? How do they bridge? And then how do they move their hips? How do they invert on a wall? And then you've got to move away from doing it as a solo drill and do it with a person. So there's limited utility in solo drills and in grappling dummies for the majority of the population, for the majority of the jiu-jitsu practicing population. Like I said, strikers and kickboxers and stick fighters and weapon experts, they have a little bit more latitude here. There's a lot that they can do without a training partner. Number 2, this is now really important, is strength and conditioning. And if you want to break it down into 2 big camps, it's a little bit simplistic, but if you want to break it down into 2 big camps, there is strength training, making yourself stronger, and there is endurance training or cardio, making yourself able to last longer. Now, of course, you can do weight training in a circuit and get a bit of both, sure. But at a fundamental level, you need to keep your strength up and you need to keep your endurance up so that when you get back to jiu-jitsu, when you get back to your kickboxing, when you get back to your MMA training, when you get back to whatever your martial art is, that you're not completely weak and that you're not completely, that you don't gas immediately as soon as you start sparring again, start training again. And the way to do that is to lift some weights and to do some cardio. Fundamentally, you want to push something off your body, you want to pull something towards your body, and you want to use your legs. I do have links on my YouTube channel to a basic weight training workout for martial arts. It'll give you a good overview of sort of the strength building component. And there's a million ways to do that. If you love doing kettlebells, great. If you love chopping wood and you chop wood for 8 hours a day at your cabin while you're in quarantine, great. I mean, that is strength training. For endurance, you want to run if you can. Running is an amazing exercise. If you can't, you can maybe hike stairs. I know at the fire hall, I often go up and down. I set a timer, say 45 minutes, and just go up and down the 6 foot, that'd be easy, 6-story tower, up and down and up and down and up and down for a set period of time, half an hour, 45. It simulates a little bit hiking in the mountains. So that's very useful. Another way to do cardio is something like 100 burpees. Do 100 burpees where you start in a standing position, you go down into a push-up position, you go down, you push back up, you bring your feet in, and you do a little jump. Try and do 100 of those. You might have to do them in sets of 5, you might have to do them in sets of 10, but that's not a bad cardio workout that you can do in a very confined space. And I'll add one other thing to strength and conditioning, and that is injury rehab. If you've ever had a shoulder injury, if you've ever had an elbow injury, if you've ever had tendonitis, or a wonky any part of your body, now is the time to rehab it and to get it strong and to do the right exercises. How do you find out what they are? Well, there's a site called Google. It's got a ton of rehab exercises. Try them. If it makes it feel better, great. If it makes it feel worse, stop. So number 1 was solo drills and grappling dummies. Number 2 is working on your strength and conditioning. Number 3 is flexibility. In any martial art, flexibility is important, both for injury prevention and to be able to execute your techniques better. If you can kick somebody in the head, if you've got the flexibility to kick somebody in the head, then kicking them in the stomach is child's play. Whereas if kicking somebody in the stomach is right at the limits of your ability, then you might only be able to kick to the knee, right? You want to have more flexibility than you're going to need. You don't want to rely on it, but it's very, very useful to have, and it's reasonably easy to develop on your own. especially in the context of jiu-jitsu, the more flexible your legs are, the more flexible your hips are, the better guard you'll have, the more crazy attack options you'll have, the more you'll be able to go from mount and transition instantly into an armbar. The flexibility just helps every aspect of your ground game, and quite a few standing martial arts. It's incredibly useful there as well. So now the fourth thing that you can do is watch tape. Watching tape is a couple of things. It means watching competition. It means looking and seeing what the very best guys in the world are doing. If you're a boxer, go watch Lomachenko. Go watch his fights. Go watch one of his fights 5 times in slow motion. At the end of that, you'll see things that you haven't seen before. If you're a jiu-jitsu guy, go watch Marcelo Garcia. Go watch Keenan Cornelius. Go watch the greats and see what they're doing. And if you, by the second or third time that you're watching a match, you'll start picking up on things like, oh, I just noticed it. Every time before he gets back up to his feet, he pushes or something. Or every time he launches a triangle choke attack, he off balances a little bit. Watching tape is incredibly useful. And in that category, I'm going to include watching instructionals. Some people, like myself, learn really, really well from watching instructionals. Other people get more benefit from watching competition. Some people get benefit from both. So between watching instructionals on any topic that you want, if you're interested in developing a better spider guard, it's a ton of instructionals. You want to get your leg locks up and running, there are a ton of instructionals. You want to work on your pin escapes, there are a ton of instructionals. It keeps your mind in the game. By keeping your mind in the game, you stay engaged within the sport. And yeah, your timing will be off when you come back, but your knowledge will still be high. And number 5 is don't get fat. Don't get fat. It's so easy, especially if your whole life has been training, or training's been really, really important to you, to go, man, this just sucks. This is now finally, I can eat the pizzas that I've always wanted to eat and just guzzle that soda and just eat sugar and eat more and more Haagen-Dazs because it doesn't matter. There's no training. Well, you know what does matter? Because this will end eventually and you'll come back to training and it'll be 20 or 30 pounds heavier, and you'll also have lost muscle at the same time. So I implore you to not get fat and keep your diet under control and your drinking under control during this very, very anomalous period. All right, guys. Number 1, solo drills, grappling dummies. Number 2, strength and conditioning. This is really only limited by your imagination. Number 3, flexibility. Go do some yoga workouts. Go do some yoga routines. Incorporate stretching. Get more flexible during this time. Number 4, watch tape. Watch competitions. Watch instructionals. Any topic that's out there, somebody's already put their opinion out onto it, including on YouTube. Now, you got to sort the wheat from the chaff there. There's a bunch of garbage, but if you watch enough of it, you'll develop a critical eye. And number 5, keep your diet and your drinking under control. All right, guys, good luck. This time sucks. We're doing it for a reason, and I'll see you on the other side.